Hey everyone, how we doing? Hello everyone, how we doing? If you can hear my voice in the room, come on over to the SDG studio stage. I've got a bit of a story to tell you. But first, I'll play a video to introduce what I'm all about.
Hi there, I'm Myles and welcome to my channel. I've been a video blogger since 2006, in which I've experimented with the platform to see how it can be used as a vehicle for social change. Because sharing ideas, working towards bettering our world, or even just making someone out there smile, these are the things that keep me going in life. And let me tell you, it's been quite the journey. I set up the first UK YouTube gatherings to help bring online friendships into the real world. Developed a way that video blogging could be used as a tool to help people with depression. Put together a team to represent the YouTube community on a BBC reality TV show. And won. Used video to help hold government to account, whether in person or online.
Myles, you're raising some very big points about our civil liberties.
Worked as a video strategist for a variety of organisations, created a 24-hour non-stop live broadcast to raise money for UNICEF, and much, much more. Because video blogging has changed my life, I now have this deep desire to do what I can to help change the lives of others. And technology is such a powerful tool, but it only benefits us if we approach it with the right values. So every Thursday, I upload a new video addressing this. Value systems from the past, learning from large events that have impacted our world, value systems of the present, such as mental health and well-being, and value systems for the future, how our minds need to evolve with all the technological developments coming our way. If any of this interests you, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel and like my Facebook page to be notified about future videos. And if you'd like to support the work I do more closely, then please visit patreon.com/Myles Dyer for more information. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you around. How was that for a quick introduction? Adios, till next time.
Thank you. So yes, I'm Myles Dyer. As a bit of sort of an add-on to that introduction, I started YouTube in 2006 when I was 18, 19 years old. I'm now 32, so I've been doing it for quite a while, and it's quite mind-blowing to look back and realise YouTube's been going that long. But the important thing I like to tell people is I didn't go into YouTube as a filmmaker. I didn't go in there to become a YouTuber. When I first heard about it, it was because I was living with my parents and I saw on BBC News a story about an 80-year-old man called Peter Oakley, geriatric 1927 was his username. And he did a video called First Try that had millions of views. And I was like, oh, what's this website, YouTube? I'll check it out. And just to sort of give an example of how old school he was, when he wanted music to fade in at the beginning of his video, he held a radio up to the camera. And then when he wanted the music to fade out again, he would put it back down on the ground. It was amazing, like a real OG. And so I checked out the video, and it wasn't just his introduction that sort of enticed me to give it a go. Underneath it was a feature no longer on YouTube called Video Responses, where people from all over the world could upload their own videos, introducing themselves. And I realized that between the fabric of online video was this community. And so I uploaded my own video. As you can see in the top left, I had a bit longer hair there. And I just introduced myself. It had 10 views. It had a couple of comments. And the rest is history. And I've always said that progress is something you only notice when you look over your shoulder. I didn't go into this thinking I was going to make hundreds of views, reaching millions of people. And this journey has really taught me a lot, because although I have done comedy in the past and sketches, I realized it's a real vehicle for social change. And so what I'm going to do today is tell you a bit about some of the things that I've done, as mentioned in that introduction, and hopefully you'll take something away from that. So the three things I'm going to look at is charity, mental health, and education. And then I'm going to tell you three important things to consider, not only when making online video, but when doing any form of activism, which could be giving a speech like I am now, or even having a conversation with someone in person, because most of my activism actually happens when I'm going out for a drink with a friend or a stranger, because that's a real human connection where you can take down barriers and find out, what is it that connects us and what is it that we all want in the world. So charity. In 2006, there was a website called stickam.com, which was a live streaming website. A lot of us teenagers used to go on there. Someone would live stream from their bedroom playing music, and other people could go on webcam down the side. And I decided to do a 24-hour non-stop live show. Now, it was in my dorm at university in 2006. Looking back, it was quite boring. You can only do so many handstand requests in 24 hours before it gets a bit repetitive. But about 30,000 people tuned in, about $500 was raised, and I thought, you know, there's something here. And so the next week, I did it at my parents', I had a friend help out, and I started engaging with my friends in the YouTube community who every hour did a 5-minute video while I took a break to eat or drink, and it just built up year on year. And in 2011, it was done in a TV studio, and UNICEF was the organisation I decided to raise money for, because it was obviously a global organisation that everyone would believe in and want to support. And it ended up being seen by millions of people and raised it was $3,500. And the reason it worked was because it was a global event. Because it was 24 hours, it didn't matter where people were in the world. If I had a friend from the States going, I'd love to watch it, Myles, but I'm probably going to be working. It's like, it's 24 hours. You can, you know, spare just 1 minute in that time. It didn't matter what currency people had, because we could accept currency from all over the world. And it also brought talent from all over the world, from different verticals as well, kind of like this event today. We had musicians, we had chefs, we had someone who designed robots for Robot Wars. People that had this shared value but came from different backgrounds were able to unite, and it was a model that we just built on year. So for mental health, I, like many people, have had my own struggles with mental health. Even 5 years ago, I had a head injury, and that really shook me up and made me question my identity and like who I am and where I want to go in life. And it feels good to be able to be standing up and giving talks like this again, because initially when I had it, I started losing my speech, which is quite a scary experience. But one of the first videos I did on mental health was in 2009. It was called You Are Not Alone, and it was where I just come out of therapy. And as someone who came across as quite confident and happy, I said to people, even I have vulnerabilities, even I can go through adversity, and it's okay to get help. And within a week or two, it had over 100,000 views, which back then on YouTube in 2009 was a real big deal. I mean, it would still be a big deal today. And what I realized is online video is this empathy machine. I was just one person sharing an experience, and there were people that perhaps couldn't see a doctor, perhaps didn't have the confidence to leave their front door, but in the comfort of their own home, and some of them mentioned it in the comments, anytime I feel low, I can watch your video and realize that things are okay and I can work through this. And this comment I've got on the right-hand side is someone I'm friends with now who wrote in one of the bottom lines, I've done this week without my depressants medication for the first time ever. And that totally blew my mind. Now, as a disclaimer, I am not saying that video blogging is a replacement for medication. If you're having depression, you should see a doctor, tell people. But this really showed me the importance of shared experience, and once again, the fact that it is an empathy machine. And finally, education. For as long as I've been doing YouTube the past 13 years, I've been really interested with traditional education systems. And as I've spoken to teachers about it, I've realized that educators have the same frustrations as well. I mean, traditionally, education is you have young people go to school, there is a curriculum, they need to be taught this so they can pass exams and get onto the next stage in the chain towards employment. And when they leave the school gates, when I was young, I'd go for a bike ride and I might see the 6 o'clock news, that was about it. Whereas we now live in an age where when young people leave the school gates, they've got their social media, they've got news being bombarded left, right, and centre. And so I feel the role of education now is no longer about we have a finite amount of information and knowledge, we need to make sure it's disseminated amongst classrooms. It's now about we live in a world of abundance of information. How do we give young people the tools to know what's true and what's not? You know, develop critical thinking and things like that. And so YouTube's Creators for Change initiative, which was set up a couple of years ago, which was to give grants to YouTubers who live and breathe the platform as a vehicle for social change. They invited me to be a part of a scheme called Be Internet Citizens. And so last year I toured the UK teaching 14, 15-year-olds a workshop about what is fake news, what is the us versus them mentality, what is the difference between hate speech and free speech, and what emotional manipulation is. And I was blown away. I think we, you know, always see that young people are kind of underestimated, and I've never seen myself as kind of that person, but they still surprise me because young people do have a very out-of-the-box way of thinking, and to sort of empower them, I went there to sort of say, this is what I've done on YouTube, and you can do it as well. And so the final thing I'd say on this was, as a part of the grant, I was able to do a project that I've wanted to do for 8 years now. And so I set up a studio near my house just outside London, and I created a podcast called The Quest for Global Empathy. Because empathy is at the forefront of my value system, it is the thing that connects us all and can make us achieve great things. I sit in a studio, I invite a guest, whether it's a celebrity, activist, politician, and I roll the camera, and the only question that is pre-planned is, how's it going? And we just go for 2 hours. And that train of thought means we get to go into the nuance of issues, we get to humanize people, we don't have to come out with sound bites and go for low-hanging fruit, and it's a really good conversation. So whether you want to check out the video on YouTube or the audio on Spotify, iTunes, The Quest for Global Empathy, or search Quest for Empathy. Today, and all this week, I've seen so many great speakers here who I'm definitely going to hope they'll come down to the studio. So just to wrap up, Myles Dyer, entertain, inform, inspire has been my sort of tagline for a while, and I know now the BBC uses it and YouTube. I mean, I'm just saying, I was there first. But anyway, that aside, the reason I've used it is because I think these are the 3 key elements of online video. But as I said at the start, it's not just about online video. It's whether you're having a conversation with someone else in the world or you're doing a speech. If you want to engage with people, you need to do these 3 things. So I've got 3 examples of videos for each of the categories, but you should really try and do all 3. And this is why. Entertain. We live in a world of abundance of information. There is a lot of noise out there. And so the first thing you want to do is engage with people. You need to cut through the noise and grab people's attention. When it comes to making videos, I have a 3-5 second rule. You want to grab people's attention in the first 3 seconds and establish what they're watching in the first 5. It's very important. But what good is it getting people's attention if you then don't give them something of value to then learn from it? And so inform. Informing is so important. I always believe that people should leave your content, your conversation, your talk with more information than what they came to it with in the first place. That is an absolute must. And a common theme that you've probably heard from a lot of speakers here is inspire. It's about giving people autonomy. You can entertain people, you can inform them, but what use are those things if they don't feel that they can own it themselves and go out into the world with autonomy and make a difference? And so whenever you're doing anything to do with activism, try and entertain, inform, inspire. And on that note, I'm Myles Dyer. Thanks for listening, and I hope to see you around.